you find that taking your time to write whatever is your story deters from, or not deters, but like prevents not the ending that you want, or not the story that you want ultimately? You know what I mean? Like have you written a story, and at the end of it, like maybe some time after, I'm like, I wish I had done that instead. Does it prevent like taking your time to write?
Like, in other words, does it like put roadblocks up for you guys?
Yeah,
like,
right, exactly, right.
Well, with me, with being such like a big planner beforehand, I don't really run into roadblocks because I have just done such exhaustive pre-planning beforehand that I always have an answer for any time I get stuck or write myself into a corner. Yeah, so I, but if I write a story and I get to the end and there's a different type of ending I didn't anticipate, I think that's actually really exciting because I always really want to steer into what that thing was. I mean, like, again, going back to Star Noir, I mean, the ending of that, I didn't know the twist until I got to the very end. And there was a character who had like a throwaway line in the very beginning of the story. And I was like, oh, wow, that line has like a double meaning. And now we should kind of fit the story to fit around this character.
Yeah. That's cool. Like when you connect those puzzle pieces is like huge as a writer, you know. Oh, go ahead, George.
No, I was gonna say, I think what when you talk about that, Harry, I think that may happen. I think maybe more so with like an ongoing series where you haven't had the chance to plan the whole thing out, where you're kind of like, it's episodic and you're going episode by episode, where you're like, damn, by episode 50, like, dude, I could have tied that up, you know, like issue number 25. Yeah, but it's too late. Like that's already been written, so I can't really change that. But you know, me too, I'm a planner. So yeah, that's kind of stuff I try to have something, you know, going on for all of that stuff. And like I say this too, I guess your blueprint or your outline should just be a roadmap, you know, like it can change. You could take detours, you know what I mean? Like it's just something to get you to the ending, but how you get there may change as you go there. You know what I mean? So like, you know, yeah, I'm a planner, but I don't stick to it like, oh, it's got to be this way or it's
right.
You know what I mean?
You don't have that rigid like
yeah
outline. I was gonna say, Johnny, do you have anything to add? Like, how do you see your ideas come to life, or is it very similar to one of these guys?
Very similar to everybody's. I think we've all heard a little bit from each person going, oh yeah, that's cutting, because George said it is best. It's like it validates what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
You hear, oh, Nandor does it this way. Okay, well, I kind of do the same thing or something similar. I feel like I'm on the right track. It's validation by our peers, right? Just hearing that we all kind of have the same process, but it's just everybody has their own different sandbox that they play in, how they play in it. So everybody kind of does it their own way. Like I've mentioned on George's show when I was on there, I've got my bubble method where I have an idea, I do a circle, draw a line, and then a connecting idea. And then I have, like, after connecting all these ideas, I have a roadmap. And from there, I can take it to story. And then on top of that, you know, we talked about developing the story, sitting on it, finding the emotion in it. Is, you know, questioning, is this story worth telling? You know, we all kind of have a different way of going about that, whether it's a feeling, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's putting it in a drawer, whether it's, like Nandor said, living with it long enough to work through it in your head to go, okay, this is what I'm trying to say, or this is the feeling I'm trying to invoke.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's a good point.
And that's where procrastination's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. When ideas come to me, they usually always start as like, I don't know, like an elevator pitch almost. Like I'll be like, what if this hits this, or what if this happened? And sometimes it's like I'll be watching a movie and a character will say something, and that'll spark an entire idea just off that one line or something, you know. Or sometimes you're just driving and something hits you, you know, because you get like, you know, you get kind of, you're all like in a meditative kind of state when you drive. You're not really, you know, you're on almost autopilot, you know. And that's
very Zen-like.
Almost Zen.
It's very Zen-like, so it opens your mind to,
where you know, you're showering and
thoughts to wander. Yeah,
you,
exactly.
You know? Yep. So yeah, but it's weird. I usually just see a concept, like or like a, you know, like, what if James Bond was an alien, or, you know, it's just, this is one of the ones in my notebook. You know, so I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I have that idea as like a nugget to start. But like stuff like that, you know, so.
I was
Go
just
ahead,
saying, I've
Johnny.
experienced what Tony has said about like listening to a music and then see a
Have
scene
you?
play out in your head. Like I've felt that before. Like I've
Mhm.
listened to long car rides where you're listening to a song and all of a sudden like I'm playing through a scene in my head and going, oh, this would be great for this kind of story. And then next thing you know, I mean, you might not have the story for that, but then that just is a note that's in your back pocket that could go, okay, this could go here or there. And you know, this could be in a space bar out somewhere in a far galaxy, or this could be out in the old West. You know,
Yeah.
you could just kind of place it where it works.
Yeah.
You know, I think with Mean too, I just figured it out because I just listen to horrible music, so maybe that's why I'm not getting any inspiration. You know, like Ab is
like,
not giving me
"You're on
anything, or the Bee
Mexican
Gees, you know.
radio."
So a lot of Yoko Ono music.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
But I did have a you know, after this whole thing, something popped in my head too of an idea of like when you say you guys develop like an idea for a while. Do you guys have multiple ideas stored up? Like, because I know like comic writers like Ed Brubaker and like Jeff Lemire, they always have like an idea. Whenever you read like their back matter in their comics, they always talk about it. They've been sitting on this idea for 10 years and they finally found the right thing to write about. Do you guys have a lot of that too?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I have a drawer full of scripts, and then there are like just elevator pitch ideas for stories that I write down in my notebook. And I have a lot of those, and it's like, well, when I get the time, I'm going to take 3-4 months and make that a script. So yes, all the time.
Okay, yeah. You Nandor, George, that same with you guys?
Yeah, I definitely have a few ideas, and like, you know, some of them are more developed than others, you know what I mean? But which is the reason why I try to stay away from ongoing series. Like when writing comics, I like to write like 6 chapters, 7 chapters, maybe 8, you know, 4, and just get those done. That's done. Boom, move on to the next story. Because and then but the way I write them is I leave them open ended. You'll still get the story, but it can continue if I want to later on. Oh, I have another idea for it. I can do another.
Yeah, you can do like another
what I mean?
mini.
But yeah, definitely tons of just stuff laying around, ideas just all over the place. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I wouldn't say I have a lot. You know, I have like a few, but what I try to do, I'm trying to save myself agitation and regret from not ever being able to develop them. So like when I have an idea, I try to pursue it as quick as possible. And I'm like, okay, I want to work on this because, you know, and other ideas will come on, you know, along the way, but I'll usually just like scribble something down of like, okay, I want to write something in this genre, or if I were to do something like that, what would that look like? But they're really more like kind of little footnotes, not something that I'm like, this is going to work and I need to do this. It's more like that's interesting. And so everything else, I kind of like the idea will speak to me so much that I can't help but pursue it and want to go for it. And so, thankfully, like I have ideas, and I most of that though is kind of like ideas for other properties or other characters, not necessarily original material, because the original material that I'm excited about and that I'm focused on is like what I'm working on at that moment. But
awesome. So before I go on to the next question,
Actually,
I just want to hit the chat. We got a few good things. What were you going to say, Harry?
Something that relates to what Nando was saying. So when you have an idea, do you feel that you have to maybe act on it right away? Because as an artist, you know, if I think of like an idea for a drawing, you know, I quickly do a quick little rough sketch and then put it somewhere, because somebody else might take the idea or beat me to it. You guys ever had that fear, you know?
That's happened to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had that fear. I also am afraid that I'll lose my motivation to write that story. You know, if I'm like, okay, I'm going to write that down and I'll get to it, you know, a few years later, I'll look at it and I'll be like, I don't even know what I was thinking, you know, like what was that about? Like, you know, and maybe, you know, and I think like David Lynch, he said something really funny where like, and I wish I like trusted myself as much as he does, but he said something like, I don't write all of my ideas down because the good ones will stay in there, will stick in there, and I believe there's some truth to that. Like there definitely is, but at the same time, I'm like, what if I don't remember why I was like wanting to pursue that, why I wanted to like write that story. But yeah, so I want to chase it. I want to like chase it right away.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
On the opposite, my brain is like a full hard drive. So if I want new stories, someone's gonna have to come out.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.